Hello and welcome back to another Demis Hellen tutorial. We're going to look at how to create or start creating a track from scratch. This isn't going to be a full project build, but this is just going to be the starting blocks. Now there's a lot of information out there to say start with the kick and the bass. It's the most important and fundamental part of your track. If this doesn't work, nothing works. All very true, but that doesn't mean that you have to start with it from the very beginning. Grab yourself a synth and start messing around with some sounds and see what melodic sequences you can come out with. Grab some MIDI and see if you can inspire your own arpeggiated sequence. These are the things where you can start from different angles depending on what your mindset is. And most of the time, my mindset is getting that kick and bass sounding good. But sometimes you hear a groove and you get inspired. But a lot of the time I am playing on the piano, so I'm having piano lessons which help me develop melodies a lot easier than just clicking away inside the DAW. Now let's have a listen to what's going on here. This inspired just by building a kick and using a loop from a pack that comes with, I think it's the Trance Essentials Volume 3, and then it's the World Kit 138. Just used one of the loops and just used the kick drum and imported it into my own drum sequencer. So let's just have a listen what we've got. So you can hear that we've just got 4 elements going, and if we look at the mixer, there's not a lot going on. So I'm going to set this up side by side so you can see exactly how I've done these things. And to start with, we'll just duplicate these two here. Let's move them there and duplicate. Okay, so we know these are, they were already selected. So we know these are the copies, and for now we're going to put them in a different colour. So the kick and this loop are yellow, so we can see on the mixer where our stuff is. So let's just zoom out a little bit. I'm going to get rid of the inserts. Let's just go clear and clear. Okay, so the only thing that's left on this track is the gain stage in here, which is just starting at -6. That's my pre-gain before anything starts. So let's shift these. In fact, we'll shift the new ones to the right. So we've got them in a new section. So we have our kick and loop. Okay, so the first things that come into mind, the kick's a little bit too boomy, and the loop is a little bit sparkly on the top for my liking, and it's quieter obviously. But they're set both at -6 on the pre-gain, so let's get started on the kick. Usually I roll this off to about 30 Hz just to get rid of all that low detail information that is just going to clog up the mix, and we can adjust this at any time. And apart from that, I'm pretty happy with that for now, because we need to do some other tweaking. I'm going to put this through a compressor, so we'll use Pro C2 for visual purposes, and then we're going to use a volume shaper, and we're going to use Evade in this case, and we're actually going to have these the opposite way round. So first things first, let's just bypass this, and we're going to use this to actually shape the kick, so we can reverse this and shape it that way, but I'm going to keep it that way so you can see exactly what's happening in the left to right fashion. So let's solo the kick, and for some reason it's slightly right. So you can hear that it's affecting the kick slightly by chopping that end off, acting like an envelope, which it is. So it's a little bit too much, so I'm just going to roll this up here and bend this. Add another point in. Okay, so we're still getting some of that power, but it is shorter. And for now, I'm just going to bypass some of the high frequencies to let that kick click come through for now, just so we've got something to work with. And then finally, we're going to hit Pro C2, and let's listen to what's happening here. Okay, so it's already processing this on the default setting, so we're going to turn the threshold down for now. Nothing is happening, so we're going to turn the attack up to let that click come through, so we're not compressing that, and then we're going to return that pretty quickly as it is a kick, so the compressor returns to 0 pretty quick. I'm going to leave this at 4 to 1 for now, so you can hear that's over compressed. And that is transparent. So we're reducing, getting some gain reduction there. I'm just going to put it towards the hard knee. So we're getting more power out of that kick, but that is just volume perception, because if we turn this off and reset this, we can see we're at minus 14.1. Put the Pro C2 on. We've boosted it just shy of 2 dB straight off the mark. Now this occasion, we are just going to use this Pro C2 to boost the volume to -6. That is where I want this track to sit for now and get everything kind of balanced in this lower portion. Not going to spend loads of time balancing it out, just get the main bits done. So we know we're at minus 12.6 and we want to be at 6. So I'm just going to type in 6 to add +6 of dB. So technically not properly gain staging, but don't worry about that at this point. Just get the sound right. Okay, so we're at 6.6. That will do me just fine. Let's have a listen to this loop. So first things first, let's jump in and put Pro Q3 on. I'm going to get rid of low information. All it's doing is clogging at that low end up. Now the top end here is a little bit too sparkly, so I'm just going to put a shelf on this. Let's just zoom in on to 6 dB so we can see exactly what we're doing. Okay, that's sounding good. And then we're just going to put this through a gain plugin for now. So we'll put it through this free gain plugin from Hoffa Systems. And let's look at this level here. So we're about minus 18. Nearer minus 19. So for now, we're going to put plus 12 on. That's getting around minus 8.8. So for now, I want it to sit a bit lower than the kick. It's not perfectly mixed, but we can drop this volume here if we need to for now. And that's sounding okay there. So we've got the main setup there. Now this trance rolling bass, let's add a new instrument in ourselves. Let's just deselect those. I'm going to go in and add a bass from Rapid again. And we'll pick the same one. I'm going to go down to Trance Essence. I'm going to go to ARPs, and I think it was running plucks that we used. And let's drag that same MIDI. So the kick drum is tuned as well. If we look at the media, you can see this sample pack here is 138 BPM in G minor. So we know that this kick is in G. And we can tune the bass to the note, which we have there. So this is, we've chosen G0 because the preset is set quite high, and that gives us a really nice sound there. But there's no gain staging done or anything yet, so we're going to set that to -6 on our pre-gain there, and then if we reset this, okay, so we're getting about -10 to -9 with the jump arounds and things. You'd have to let it play a few times just to get a true reading. But what we're going to do now is go into Pro Q. And I'm just going to roll the bass off to 20, get rid of all that low information. We only feel this part, we don't really hear anything below 20, so get rid of it it adds too much headroom to your mix, and we don't want any of that information. I'm just going to control the lower mids here. And then there's a little bit of click on here I can hear. That really fast click, and it's going to be somewhere around here. There, that's the point where it comes through. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so we're not going too drastic. That's about right there. So this is the bit that I was listening for. So I'm just getting rid of the obvious things. I'm not going to go into shaping all of this, but we're just carving some main features out so we can get an idea of how this is going to progress. We're just going to add some gain. So again, gain plugin. We'll zoom in. And we're hitting about -10, so I'm just going to boost this by 3.5 for now. Okay, so we're getting about -8, it might go to about -7.5, but it's just in the ballpark. We don't want to be spending time sorting this out. We want to generate ideas and give the track some direction, and you can hear the direction starting to turn up. Now we're going to alter this. We're going to turn off the reverb, and at the same time we're going to close this envelope as well and just reshape things a little bit. So first things first, I'm just going to shorten this decay. Drop the slope, just so we're getting a bit of a tighter sound, and I'm going to drop the envelope. Okay, so this is going to result in a lower volume here, and we would control this with a little bit of compression, but let's go back to the mixer and see where we're at. So we're back up to -14. So I wouldn't do this in the main track. I just want to keep reiterating this. This is just purely to get the levels up so I can hear where things are going to sit. So we're going to go for, we want to be -6, so we're already plus 3.5. So let's go to 8. That'll do for now. So if you're picking your sounds well, this will convey in the start of your track. It'll already sound good. That needs to be present. You can't just have something that sounds, that's okay, but I don't know if it quite fits. These all fit together. They sound good. Yeah, they all need a lot of processing just to get them to the areas where they need to be and sound nice and tight and fit together. But we're not focusing on that. We are focusing on building the track. So we have this rolling trance bass here, which is actually an acid line from Synthmaster. So let's copy this down to here, and we're going to create a new bass. We'll create another Synthmaster style sound. So let's have just that and the kick. Now this starts on the first note pressed, so if we go to here, you can hear it straight on the beat. So we're going to have that length to start with, and then because it's on the first beat, we can actually use this ARP to our advantage and just add some extra bits of patterns in there. So if you didn't know what I just did there, I hit J on the keyboard for Cubase and it turns off quantize, so I can resize them how I want. If you turn J back on, they'll just snap to the next nearest beat. So I'm just going to shorten them down so they're not touching each other and you get that nice staccato feel. So you can hear it's starting to move. So we're going to put them there, and we're repeating the pattern. And then on this last one, we're going to have 3 rolls. And what we're going to do is throw this up an octave. I should have just held shift there. That should sound good. Now, instead of these being on the beat, because it sounds a little bit boring, we're actually going to take all of these and move them in one so it's not starting on the beat. So now you can hear all those things are nicely tying into the rhythm and starting to generate a groove. So the next thing is open up here. We've got the automation already copied because we copied it from there. So all I'm doing is opening the filter at these sections, and you can hear that this opens up wide here. So let's just make sure everything's working. So we've now got that pattern, and we've just drawn this automation in. Now if we wanted to be more precise, we can put the pen tool on, and you can even use your desktop controllers if you want to do that, or you can just turn off the grid automation and put the pencil on, and we can draw smooth curves if we so wish to do so. And it seems to be snapping it to the grid still, which is turned off. But anyway, you can draw smoother curves, but we'll get bogged down in that. Okay, so now we've got that and the automation. I'm just going to close the automation for now. I'm going to set that to this green colour. So we've got some very garish colours there. That sorts that out. So we're going to call that acid, bass, and then that's loop and kick. So now we've built the bare bones. All sounding really good. Now we can start playing with some melody ideas. So again, we're going to use SynthMaster. This is from, we're going to use some presets from a pack that isn't released yet. More on that in a future video. And we're going to pick some plucks out of here. So let's try Ocean Canyon. And okay, that sounds quite nice and authentic. We're just going to go into the mixer and again, pre-gain at -6. And I'm just going to start with a Pro Q3 at the start of each channel here. And let's just filter out up to about 50 Hertz for now. And we'll make it a 6 dB per octave. Okay, so I don't have the keyboard plugged in at the moment on the desk. So we know it's in G minor, so we'll just start putting some notes on G. Already sounding good, and then we could put one an octave up there. Okay, sounding good. Let's pitch them both up an octave. So these are just starting to generate ideas. I actually have no idea what sort of melody idea I want to go for. So a bit more interest into this. A lot of people still don't know about this feature on Cubase. If you head into the MIDI inserts menu here and go down to Quantizer, we get a swing option here. So if we put swing to about 50%, we'll now get these offset a little bit and it'll add a bit more groove. So let's just play that with the kick. And turn this off. So you kind of get a din din, din din din. And then it's a little bit more grooved. So let's change the sound up. I'm starting to dislike that one for this particular track. Let's try Aura. You can hear now that groove is coming out, partially down to some of that delay. Let's turn off the insert here. So it's a little bit straighter. And a better way to demonstrate this, just so you can hear that there's actually something, if you're not fully hearing something, we can just put a line of these in. I'm just going to shorten them down so they're not touching each other, and you'll get this. And if we turn this off, groove there. So that's what's happening there. They're just offsetting these notes a little bit, just to add and generate a little bit more sort of interest to the listener, something where they can listen to a track and just listen to that loop over and over and think, I can listen to this all day. Okay, that's sounding pretty good. I would look at the delay in here. Let's just put the feedback up in the mix a little bit. Just add a bit more reverb for now from here. Okay, sounding good. Okay, so now we've got the straight rhythm of that. So on the acid, we're also going to add a quantizer, and we'll put it to about 40-ish%. We don't want it to be too harsh like that one. Shorten them down a little bit more. That will do. So you can hear something starting now, and with that track we can start building a melodic sequence. So we'll just quickly do something and then we'll end the video there. If you're enjoying the video, let me know down in the comments and let me know if it's helping you just generate some new ideas, even if it's just this like sort of melody that we're building now is starting to inspire you to create something. Feel free to use the MIDI. So I'm going to set this to 8ths, and I'm just going to put some lower notes in just so we've got that bass in there. Let's just turn quantize back on. Okay, so we're getting an idea here. I'm going to put this back to 16ths. Just making some ideas up here. If you're not familiar with scales and chords and things like that, use scales-chords.com to work out what scale has what notes. So G minor, just type it in and it'll tell you what they are. Link is always in the description to that. We're going to have an F there, I think. So you can hear there, we've just built something out of nothing. I wouldn't say I'd use it, but straight away we've got something that might work. So we've got a little bit of variation in there. And then we can copy that over again. So we've got these ideas in a row and we can just start messing around thinking, how can we move this bass? And we could move that up to there and then move that down to the F. One octave. And we can do the same. Let's just have a listen to what the bass sounds like. So that goes to there. I think it went to D and then F. And turn that on. So you can hear now that we've added a little bit of groove to everything else, but this now doesn't have that groove. So we can go back into the plugin, if I can work out how to do this. A little bit of a block there on the memory. And what we can do on the ARP section here is add some shuffle. So you can see here they're not shuffled at all. So again, we'll go for something like 40%. And there we are. So add that in. So maybe this straight loop rhythm's not going to work now, so let's just take that out for a second. So, because we've got that kick shaper on, this might not work, but it'll give us an idea. That'll do. So I'm just adding ideas, I'm just changing things up and seeing what things sound like together. And there we have it, we've started a track, let's just put that in. Because we've added swing in there, we need to find something that swings the loop. You can slice it and swing it yourself if you want to do. There's all things you can do. So I hope that was of interest and use to some of you that are wanting to get ideas to start tracks. We started with a kick and a loop and then a bass and then an acid, and then we added a melodic sequencing just by starting to add a couple of notes. Move from that to and there we are, we've got the start of a track. Now, like I said, the melodic sequence I'm technically not going to use in a trance track, but that is the starting point there. You can start with chords if you want. You can swap that out and start putting chords in and start building a track. But nonetheless, the building blocks are there in that first section. So if you enjoyed the video, let me know down in the comments. Also, hit the like button, share with those like-minded producers out there so they can all up their game and start to create really good music as well. And finally, hit the subscribe button. 3 videos per week on trance and music topics. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.